listening to Wanderin the Hobby with Ryno. Brought to you by Ryno Sports Cards and Memorabilia in Bellingham, Washington. For more, follow us on Instagram at Ryno Sports Cards or rhinosportscards.com.
Welcome to another episode of Wanderin the Hobby with Rynos. On today's episode, we will be talking with Emmett Dixon with the Bellingham Blazers, as well as talk about market trends and industry news. But before we get started, we'd like to shout out our sponsor, Beta. Whether you're collecting cards or chasing championships, peak performance starts with Beta Life products. Created by four-time NBA champion John Sally, Beta offers clean, high-quality supplements that fuel your body and support your wellness goals. Vegan, cruelty-free, and loaded with all-natural ingredients, Beta is here to keep you at the top of your game. Ready to elevate your performance? Visit shopbetalife.com and use promo code Rynos for free shipping on your first order. That's shopbeta, B-E-T-T-A, life.com. Beta. Better eating today, tomorrow, and always.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode. I appreciate it. Ryno here. We do have Emmett Dixon with us. We just got done doing the Athlete of the Month. He is a goalie for the Bellingham Blazers. And I wanted to jump into this. We were going to talk about this on the podcast anyways, the Four Nations. Did you get a chance to watch those games?
Yeah, I got a little chance to watch some of the first two, I think, with Sweden and USA. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think the reaction to it online, I think from what I've seen, was really positive, and I think there was a lot of great moments that came out of it. Of course, Canada winning as they should. Unfortunately,
we're going to cut all of that. No, you're right though. You're right. Great games. It's interesting though. Like with the Four Nations, I thought that was freaking fantastic. It was great. Either one of those two teams winning was really good. I thought it was going to give a bump to the hobby a little bit, honestly, because it got to showcase some of the best of the best. I enjoyed it more than an All-Star game. We were just talking, Bailey, earlier about like NBA doing something like that as well. I thought that would be really good. But the Four Nations, people talked about how they'd rather, they don't watch regular season, but then they watch the Four Nations game. But I kind of expected it to get a little bump. The Allure just came out, O-Pee-Chee just came out. Yeah. Now we sold, the 5, 6, 7 boxes, but we weren't selling the cases like I thought we were going to be doing with it.
No, there really wasn't like a super big jump, if any at all. I don't think I've had anybody but 2 people maybe.
Yeah, just more talking about it, right?
Yeah, it's more so just like they come in and talk about a tournament. It's like, okay, cool, but like,
let's
do you want to like maybe pull a
cards.
McDavid, or do you want to pull like a Matthews or stuff like that? Obviously, depending on which way you swing with USA or Canada, but. Yeah, it's just weird how, even people at my other job were like, man, I don't even watch regular season hockey, but I could watch Four Nations all day of the week, and that thing, it was so cool, and this and that, and it's like, well, why don't you? That's something, hockey's the one sport I think, and I'm sure Emmett could agree with, is like, you get that same feel in a lot of the game, like even regular season. Like, if you truly understand it and like actually watch it and like know the game, you can get that feeling from almost any game during the season, because those guys are always going hard. It's not like NBA where it's like they're on a back-to-back, Cade's going to sit tonight, so then so-and-so is going to start, and it's kind of like, we're tired, this and that. Like, I feel like hockey is one of the ones, it's a very discipline-driven sport where it's like you don't have time to be tired. You go out and play for, your teammates. Yeah. You get extra motivation out of small things where it's not like, hey, we're making this crazy amount of money, we're going to go out and just have a good time.
Right, but I'll tell you, though, the difference, though, you bring up a valid point, right? NBA cards, after the All-Star break, they pick up. Yeah. Like, we've almost sold out.
Wemby last year, that was when his spike went.
Okay? Same thing that's happening currently right now with NBA cards. You're going to have, obviously, football, we get closer to, like the playoffs. Those obviously always go crazy with it. Hockey is a playoff time. That's when we start selling more hockey cards. Yeah. I thought this was going to be a big bump because it felt like the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Which was pretty cool to see. Yeah. But I, again, kind of surprised that it wasn't. Yeah. Do you collect cards?
I get cards when they're available at Tim Hortons, but Tim
Hortons, shout out, sponsor us.
Not in a while, but I definitely, when I get cards, I make sure to keep them. I have a lot. from years past. But
like some Yamir Yagers in there, some Patrick Waz, the greatest goalie ever.
I mean, I might have one. I think my girlfriend actually got me a few. I think last year from like a vintage shop, like some Lindros and stuff like that. But I think in terms of picking up, I think that might be something that might take a little bit of time because I know at least from seeing online, I know a lot of people are getting into it.
Right.
But I think that kind of thing might take a little bit of time because I think, you know, especially with hockey, like in terms of promoting the stars, that's kind of where the NHL is kind of getting lapped, right?
Sure.
By you know, you talk about Wemby, it's like people who literally have never picked up a basketball will know LeBron, might know Wemby, but I think when it comes to people picking up hockey, like they really got to learn.
Well, yes, and they need to. NHL does not promote their guys very well. Look at last year, Connor Bedard.
Yeah. Connor
Bedard was everywhere.
Yeah.
And as a shop owner, I loved it, man, because every 2023 product, everybody's buying it.
Yeah.
I don't think the majority of individuals can name the 2024 the number one overall pick. Yeah. I don't think they can name the mass majority of like the young guns in there, even though the Series 1 young guns were selling very well. People just can't name them. Like last year, they picked out that one name. Yeah. 2023, they picked for NBA. They picked out Wemby, right? Even though like the Thompsons, they were doing wonderful. So, I mean, you are right, but I think it's like they don't market like they're superstars. Like even McDavid. Yeah. Like if you're gonna pick, are you doing Connor McDavid rookie or are you doing a Crosby rookie? Like who are you going for?
If I had to pick one, I think.
Without knowing like sales on them, things like that.
I think a Crosby rookie would probably be more valuable.
Because, and in my opinion, something like that happens, like his rivalry with like Ovechkin is iconic, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so my brain goes instantly to that as a shop owner. I'm like, well, I want Crosby rookies in here because I think Crosby's one of the greatest. But McDavid is there. I mean, there's also Wayne Gretzky and who's in there.
He's like Michael Jordan. He played with plumbers. We're not worried about it.
I mean, LeBron played with podcasters. So
Podcast Pete.
Wow, where are we going with this one? But I mean, I agree. I just think that they should market some of these guys more and make these guys as superstars. They really could. And maybe I'm just in the wrong area though, too. To be honest with you, because up in Canada,
could be a little bit of it,
right? Those guys are probably huge up there in Canada, and we have the Kraken up here. When Matty Beniers was drafted. Everybody wanted Matty Beniers. Yeah. Everybody talked about next. Shane Wright's the next guy. That didn't take off much at all, if anything, for us, right? So, I mean, it's...
it is weird how Canada's got, what, is it 6 teams?
It's got...
I think...
7?
Yeah, 6, 7. Less than 10. And it's way, obviously it's, land of hockey, all that stuff, right? But it's those probably 7 teams create more viewership and probably pull in more money depending on the market size, like Montreal and stuff like that, than putting the USA teams together. And there's 20 plus USA teams,
right? Yeah.
Where it's almost like it'd be like in the NBA if like Toronto and they had like the Vancouver Grizzlies were making more money than all the other USA teams put together. When basketball's bigger than USA, it's like it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think hockey is kind of big at the expense of kind of other stuff. I think you go to LA like. You got the Kings, but you got the Lakers, you got the Dodgers,
Clippers,
you got Chargers, the Rams and the Chargers. Yeah. Like, I mean, you don't get that.
Oh, that's valid though, right?
In Canada, you don't get that in Canada. I mean, you don't have that. You don't really have that option. I mean, coming from where I'm from, you have the Canucks, and it's like the Canucks, and you got BC Lions, and you got the Whitecaps, but it's like it's the Canucks, and then it's like if you like soccer, like. You'll probably just pick a premier, like a team in England or something like that. And if you like football, like you'll probably just pick the Seattle Seahawks, right? So I think with stuff like that, it's just like it's hockey at the expense of like the rest of the sports stuff. It's just not like basketball in Canada can't compare to like basketball in the States at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they stick to the ice.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it's and I mean, with I guess the colder weather and everything kind of leads towards hockey, especially because it's so expensive and you get that ice in the winter.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Absolutely.
But I think I think both ways. I think like I hope that other sports are bigger in Canada. as well. And I hope hockey is bigger in the States because so many people here. Like you could,
right?
Yeah. There's so much potential.
It gets popular. There's times where hockey gets popular. We see
so.
a rush. We see a rush on cards in here.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't stick all year. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like football sticks all year. Baseball happens off. When we're doing like spring training, it'll kind of pick up. Obviously, throughout the season, kind of people will trickle here and there. We just had Top Series 1 just come out. That kind of sparked it for baseball. But it's not like that for hockey. Like Upper Deck, like Series 1 comes out, like it's fun and all.
Yeah.
But like it just doesn't get the ball rolling.
I think the U.S. just needs to win something, man. Like it's been a while.
Yeah. Or it's even like what.
I mean, Olympics are coming up. That might be
Yeah.
That
Right.
could be.
Yeah, that's when I guess I feel like that's the only time it's like a mass scale of like,
Right.
the whole world is technically watching it at that point instead of like 3 or 4 countries, and in that 3 or 4 countries, 15% of the population's only watching it.
Yeah, I think Seattle just needs like a big star for this area. They need like a big star. I mean, like they signed Grubauer, but like he isn't that good. Unfortunately,
It's so much fun to watch in the playoffs.
I wish he was good. But
That
he's not.
was a good time. He kind of dropped off. I had a bunch of his rookies.
I
Luckily,
think he
I
got
got out
waived.
when I did.
I think he's in the AHL now.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't take your style after Groove. But awesome. No, that's I definitely agree. I was hoping the Four Nations would do something different for it, but unfortunately did not.
No. One thing though weird is that I just thought about it with the like hockey stuff in the hobby. It seems like when people come in and they buy like other sports, they buy football, baseball, basketball, or somebody's into basketball, they do like basketball, football, or basketball, baseball, vice versa. The 5 or 6 people we have come in for hockey, they only buy hockey.
Yeah.
Like people that are in the hockey hobby, like for cards, only buy hockey cards. They don't buy basketball. They don't buy baseball. Maybe baseball, very marginally, because like the Blue Jays or stuff like that. Because I mean, they're the only baseball team in Canada, so everybody loves the Blue Jays.
I mean, do you guys have Whitecaps cards this year? Your CFL cards?
No.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it. You guys need CFL cards.
Awesome, guys. With the combine starting tomorrow, what are we thinking? What are we looking at? Do you think we're going to see a spike in card sales? I got to be honest, like with the draft coming up, I'm still baffled how Leaf and Wildcard aren't jumping up there, especially with Topps having their stuff unlicensed as well.
Yeah.
Like you can get the Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and Cam Wards and all these top players like that. You can get their autos and their cards in Leaf and in Wildcard.
Yeah.
And they actually showed Topps Chrome that just came out. The photo for Caleb Williams is the exact same photo that they used on the Wildcard card.
Really?
Different auto.
That's
it's
funny.
it's Caleb Williams had a autographed professional autograph. His coach, right?
Yeah.
Teach him that. But I mean, with the combine coming up, people have already purchased a bunch with it, and they're kind of setting up for the next generation. I'm curious what that's going to do to the market on it, because you can't get all these kids' cards unless you're going to go for like the Bowman U through Topps.
Even then, it's like scattered through the years.
It's scattered,
like
right?
Shedeur and all them weren't in this past year, so
Exactly. So is that going to get people more excited to then start just buying just Donruss again and things like that, and go back and still keep going after like the Jaden Daniels and Caleb's and everybody like that?
I don't know, right? Because it's kind of, I feel like I want to say yes, but I feel like it'll like maybe trigger people to go back and like look for the Blake Corums and stuff like that are going to be like, who's going to take that second year leap and like have the value after that, instead of like how last year everybody was all over CJ Stroud,
Right.
And then I mean we still have 4 or 5 CJs in the case that would have sold immediately last year as hype, but they haven't gone anywhere.
It's funny you say that though, and that's the reason that I brought that up, because I was curious about what your take was going to be, right? So you look at Jaden Daniels, crazy hype with him, but look at the team before that, and like who was thinking like, Scary Terry pops up on there, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's a lot of the time where people don't look beyond it. They just look at who's in the draft, who's going to be that quarterback, what's going to happen with it. But if you're looking at those running backs, those wide receivers, like you could actually capitalize on picking up their like their singles right now with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big thing for the combine. Like being a Raiders fan, if Shador goes there,
That's your
like
boy.
it's not my boy.
You'd be
but,
buying
it's
everything. Max Crosby, PC, and Shador.
Yes, Max Crosby. If anybody's listening out there, Max Crosby is my boy. So Howie Long, greatest rusher ever.
I said player. I didn't say DN. So
well, he's the greatest defensive end currently on
maybe in
the
Raiders
NFL.
history.
Well, that's not true either.
So.
But like I said, with that, who do you think who's going to be in this NFL Combine? Who's going to be showing their stuff? What team do you think is going to be able to have other stars, not just like who the Combine is, right? We can't just say Cam Ward, right? So if he gets drafted to Tennessee, even though Tennessee's wild for letting if they move on from Will Levis already, but I mean like what would they? Who's going to be that next person that a Cam Ward can propel up into, like not like superstar, like Scary Terry was a superstar, but he got like a huge bump in the hobby. Though.
Yeah, you're saying like who would be like an accessory player to like a Cam Ward to take the jump or stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll make it sound much more better the way you said. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just trying to clarify.
You clarified quite well. I appreciate it.
Like who's going to be like a secondary player that's going to get the jump because of like the CJs and the Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, obviously, it's probably going to be whatever receiver kind of core number one that wherever team he goes to. So Tennessee, I mean, I don't even know on Tennessee right now.
I know, right?
I mean,
feel like
but it also depends on if they draft a receiver as well.
That's true.
So like Tennessee's, if they have I don't think they have 2 first rounders, but this is a hypothetical scenario. But like, say they drafted Cam Ward and they had like the 18th pick and took Ekbuka or however you pronounce his name from Ohio State, the receiver.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden he would probably take a jump because he's like, okay, Cam Ward's going to be thrown to him. If we know Cam Ward could actually throw the ball, then we can essentially there's going to be a connection there.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
So it's like like you're talking like Cam Ward, right?
Yeah.
So if the Giants pick up like Cam Ward, Malik Neighbors already has popularity.
Exactly.
But if you got somebody like, I believe Cam Ward is going to be a good NFL player.
Yeah.
I think he was in college for a long
baby
time.
Cam Newton is what they're kind of calling him right now.
Out of the gate.
Supposed to be what Richardson is supposed to be.
Yeah, Richardson, that's a whole different podcast. But I think that's the thing, though, right? So Malik Neighbors already gets some hype.
Yeah.
And he already has some popularity. People are already getting his cards. But what happens if he goes on the Giants and that's like his target? Like that's who he's throwing to. What kind of increase are we actually going to see with that? And his wide receivers don't last forever with their values. No, they don't stay up there.
Yeah,
they kind of
definitely
fluctuate quickly.
Yeah, they have to have a couple good years, and then it kind of solidifies a little bit. But I mean, even looking at guys like Devontae Adams and stuff like that, their value isn't where it was even 2-3 years ago. Obviously, especially with the hobby and especially NFL, it's what have you done for me this season, not last. I mean, look at CJ. And all those
people
guys.
forgot how good CJ was, and they were dumping him left and right.
He lost me a few bets, so I don't know. Yeah. I'm low on him. I bet on him a few times. He let me down. So
I felt that.
I don't know.
But it's hard to predict right until like the draft kind of gets closer because people could test well at combine, which raises their profile. Like Xavier Worthy last year was not that he was a nobody, but he was viewed as like Quinn Ewers is throwing to him. Like, he's probably a 3rd, 4th round receiver. He goes out there and runs a 4.22.
Yeah.
First rounder, hello. Like, it's so, and it depends, running backs is the same. Like, their 40 time goes up, or, if they have a high vertical or their shuttle run is really well, or they could just perform overall in general.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if Gene T goes out there and has an absolutely wild combine, not that he needs to prove anything, but that could take him from being like a top 15 to like a top 10.
Well, then let me ask you,
depending on certain teams.
Who gets taken first? Genty or Scadaboo? Who's the first running back off the board?
I think it's Genty. To be
you think it's Genty, really?
Yes.
Okay. Even though the conference that he played in wasn't as hard as what Scadaboo played in.
I mean, it's kind of like who's in the Pac-12 anymore? Because isn't that what Arizona State was playing this year?
Yeah, look what they got in the playoffs though too. I mean,
I mean, when he played Oregon, Genty, he ran for his average. Like, he did exactly what he did every game.
Yeah.
So I don't think I agree with that extent that kind of circumstance to an extent, but I don't think it shows the whole picture. Because Jerry Rice went to an HBCU. I mean, that doesn't mean when he was coming out, we were like, oh, this guy's not going to be very good. I mean, he's the greatest receiver of all time, probably top 5 NFL player of all time.
I mean, there's always Tim Brown, but yeah,
your Raider bias is almost
I am
sickening.
I have
It's
major
that
bias
might be
in
a
that.
mental illness, to be honest.
Well, he did go to the Raiders because he wanted to be able to end his career at a. Well, he didn't went to Seahawks after that.
Well, he wanted a retirement home that he didn't have to do much.
But then he went to
With
Seattle.
no expectation.
So he was Raiders in Seattle
for a year.
In Seattle, right?
Yeah,
and
for a
retired.
year. Well, he retirement home in Oakland as well.
Anyways,
You supposed someone to him, Tim Couch?
Tim Couch?
Yeah.
No.
I really don't care about the Raiders.
No,
so I don't
Rich
follow
Gannon.
them. Oh,
What are you talking
Rich
about?
Gannon, my bad.
Yeah.
What'd they
Anyways,
do?
they went to the Super Bowl
They lost, though.
against Tampa Bay.
They lost, though.
But what did they do? They went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. We don't give out
Anywho.
participation trophies.
Oh gosh, I hate you right now.
You're that generation that says we hate that, but then you guys love talking about being a second.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I do. I am that guy, 100%. Yeah, but I think that's it though, right? Even like Genti going to the team.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with that quarterback? If there's a vet quarterback in there, where's Aaron Rodgers going to land? Like, is he going to get somewhere else and get some good weapons? You know.
Yeah, I think Rodgers might be on the way out, but
I think he's done.
I hope he's done.
stick a fork in him.
Yeah.
I think he's good.
Yeah, I think
I
that
mean-
would be good.
Maybe for his sake, it might be better for if he's done.
Yeah.
I don't think his ego would let him though.
I know
Honestly,
that's
I
the
don't
problem.
think
That's
his
the
ego's going
biggest.
to let it go.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Right.
That's why he should just
Go take his ayahuasca and go have his dark
ayahuasca,
retreat and
show up on Pat McAfee every
Yeah.
few months.
go play golf. Go do what you want to do.
Go sit in the dark.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
exactly.
It's
I like it.
I mean it's so tough because it's like he comes off Green Bay and everyone's like, oh my god, the Jets are ready, and then he gets hurt, and then he plays and they get worse.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think that was just karma, like slapping him around a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
when he get hurt. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody.
but the weird thing is too, though, it could be like a Brett Favre thing because right now their careers are mirroring each other, where they both went to the Jets.
Was he going
Their
to-
year at the Jets was so bad.
is he going to the Vikings?
Yeah, and then he
Is
goes
that
to the
the
Vikings.
play? Is he going to the
No.
And then
Vikings?
he goes to the Vikings and has like 2 years. And
Okay,
gets
wait a minute.
Yeah,
15 concussions in his 2 years, and then
You have JJ McCarthy sitting there waiting.
No,
That's
no.
the other thing.
He'll have to wait.
Yeah, no, Jay. I don't know about that.
I just think
don't
it would be
Sam
funny
Darnold's
if
the guy,
that
but-
would go that way, because then it'd be like they were following each other,
Right, even though he had major beef with Brett Favre,
Yeah.
anyways.
and they both were kind of tools. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett Favre, don't sue us though, please.
Favre.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, it was that time. We just had the release of Prism WNBA. We had talked about that on one of the previous podcasts about what we think it could go for.
Yeah.
We have a couple customers that we're picking up boxes of first off the line for them. They were going for $2,500 to $3,000 for a box of first off the line WNBA. Insane.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing with it. This is the first year WNBA has outsold NBA cards.
Yeah.
Like their Prism, it's still going for around $1,100 a box today, which is crazy. We just sold our last box of Prism for men's Prism, $650.
Yeah.
Women's, we still sell today for $1,200, easily sitting on the shelf.
Yep.
Wild to me. I mean, it is Caitlin Clark, right? So Caitlin Clark is leading all of this, but my goodness, her origins to Prism to her basic to Select,
Yeah.
her branded blaster box, same thing.
Yeah.
And they're going crazy, and they're outselling the NBA now, double, easily.
Yeah, I think they kind of botched the release of both of them in a sense of like they released both of them way too close to each other. I think they should have given it a little bit more time between like the WNBA Prism and the NBA Prism, just due to, obviously with the popularity of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Kate Martin and all those women, Aja Wilson, stuff like that. I think, especially when you have like kind of a weaker class. You come off a year where you have like Wemby, Brandon Miller, Scoot, Thompson twins, like probably the top 15, top 20 are going to be everyday NBA players for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, but last year
Right.
we talked about that before, where like Wemby led that class, right? The Thompson twins. Nobody, we had customers in here pulling them, but like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but that was people
Like-
I feel like that were just in the hobby because they want to rip expensive cards. Like I was in here last year saying Thompson twins and all them were going to
be
be
you
good.
also really love basketball,
that's
and
what
that
I'm
you do a
saying,
lot of
yeah.
the research beforehand to know that. I can't tell you that a lot of people who rip the cards in here are like hardcore in depth.
Yeah, no,
like
100%.
looking into
That's-
it.
yeah.
They look for the names, right?
Yeah.
And last year there was a name. There was a name.
Well, it also
that
was
came out of it
because like the top 3 didn't sign as well.
Right,
Wemby, Brandon,
exactly.
and Scoot. So it kind of threw the class over of like
It did.
You're 1 to 4th, 5th overall picks with the Thompson twins of that because they signed.
Sure.
And I forget the other dude that was in there. That was top 10.
Yeah,
But
where
like this year, it's like a lot of the top guys do sign, but they're not on the same level as Wemby, Brandon Miller. And
But we talked about that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that this Prism. We'll just talk about Prism by itself alone right now for the WNBA. I believe the box is going to be able to hold value.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's going to hold value, and I think it's going to stay strong.
Yeah.
Selling the NBA box for $650. Do you think that next year it's an $800 box with who's in it, like with the Connect, everybody like that in there?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be. I mean, we talked about this earlier. We were looking at stuff like 21-22. Nobody looks at 21-22 when it came out.
Right.
But what I was telling you, like, it's Cade. Cade's playing amazing. And
Right, but even though he's playing amazing,
Evan
you're right,
Mobley,
though. But even now,
Scotty Barnes, like all those guys.
Evan Mobley, we have to tell them that they're in 21. We have customers who come in who are like looking at our Mosaic or Prism 21, and like, who's in 21 again?
Yeah.
But you tell them 22, like, oh, cool, that's Paulo, right?
Yeah.
You tell them 2019, they're like, oh, that's Ja.
Depending on who it is, yeah. I feel like it goes back
Right.
into what you were saying, where a lot of people, quote unquote, don't know ball. They just
Right.
come in to be like, oh, it's a shiny card.
Sure.
It's a big name. This is what so and so on social media said is the next buy.
Right.
When it's like, if you really knew about the sport and weren't in it just because you actually like the sport, and it's like, oh, cool, I pulled a. Like, it'd be super sick if I pulled a Thompson auto, but I would probably sell it. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be like, I would know, that was a significant pull. Where other people are like, cool, I pulled in a Sir Thompson auto. And
Sure.
Where's he play? This and that. Where it goes back into like Cade and
Yeah.
I feel like Paulo might be a little different because he's from this area relatively, so like he's kind of more of a hometown guy.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, people come in even in 2017, like who's in that, or 2018-19, and you got Luka and Trey and all those guys.
It's funny because you say that 17. We had to do that earlier. We were talking about Tatum.
Yeah.
We were telling them like, oh, well, that's Tatum's here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah,
Because
so
no one really
it's-
thinks about that.
Exactly. It's like it's what's hot right now, but also we just haven't had a name as polarizing as Wemby, of the way he came in, what he did his rookie year. So
Yeah.
it's gonna like stick. Where this year, it's gonna be a year where 3-4 years down the road, those guys that have stuck, like Matthias Buzelis,
Right.
Buzelis, whatever how you pronounce his name,
Yeah.
in Chicago, Zach Edey in Memphis, Dalton Connect if he can get more playing time. Stephen Castle, I think, or Stephon Castle. I think
Yeah.
Stephon Castle is going to be really, really good. I think, he's going to be him, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby are going to be the face of the Spurs for the future.
Right. Well,
Like, guys like that in 3-4 years are going to be like, oh, crap, like he was in that class?
Right.
Oh, so-and-so was in that class? Like Giannis. Even in 2014 and 15, you were like, who's Giannis? He was drafted in 2013.
Right.
Now everybody's like, let's get 2013 in so we can try to get a Giannis rookie. Like, it's
Right.
There's going to be names that carry the class, but it's just going to take time because it's not guys that are coming immediately
Right.
and having 20, 10, and 5 to 10 block
Sure.
games. Like,
So
it's-
okay, so bringing that up then, if we're talking about big name against big name,
Yeah.
This next draft class that's coming up, we have Cooper Flag,
Ace Bailey.
okay, Ace Bailey,
Buddy out of Rutgers, he's
okay,
nasty.
Cooper Flag. We have two. We have a couple
Yeah.
of big names. There's a couple of guys on there. I can't think of the other ones currently right now, but yeah, right. That, and then we have the WNBA. And we have some big names coming out of there. Do
Yeah.
you think that the WNBA still outsells the NBA when we actually have some names coming out of it?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think it swaps back because people have been following Caitlin Clark for almost 3 years now, 2 years. Her year they lost, and then the next year everybody was all about Caitlin Clark, and then her going to WNBA. Like Paige and the other girls that are in college right now, they don't even Juju. Juju might be the closest there is to that. I think she's a sophomore, junior this year, so she's got 2 more years.
She's a
So,
sophomore. But you
for
don't
me,
feel like Paige Becker's
I don't feel like
projected
she
to be
carries.
number one.
If you watch women's basketball, then yes. But if you're either just a fan of basketball or you just buy off of hype, like what we were just talking about, I think.
But the majority
you're
of
gonna
people
see,
do,
You're going
though.
to see. Yeah, but so you're going to see
Cooper
Cooper flag everywhere.
That's what I think,
once
right?
People,
like McDonald's.
once people realize how good Ace Bailey is, because he plays at Rutgers, so it's like he's not on Duke or North Carolina. Like, once we get in a tournament and he shows out, he's going to, like, blow up in value, too.
Yeah.
Like, they're 1 and 2. I mean, even guys like Paul George, like, on their podcast, stuff like they're talking about how, like, this upcoming draft with those two has potential to be like a Magic, Larry Bird type draft where you have the 2 top guys that are going to be rivals their whole career because they're always going to be talked about with each other.
Yeah.
If they both pan out where they're supposed to be, both could be all NBA superstar potential players.
Right.
Where I don't think the WNBA has that. WNBA had that this last year with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
Right.
So I don't think they have the quality of in depth next year to carry that.
Yeah. Have you been watching much any of the WNBA or any of those go?
I kept up a little bit. I think probably what helped, I mean, at least the WNBA kind of make that switch was, they had the top 2, but I think the rest of that top 10-ish was quite strong. I mean, you have that girl in the Sparks and a few others. And I, especially with the year that AJ Wilson had, I mean, I'm not huge fan, but I definitely kept my eye on it, watched the finals, kind of saw what Caitlin Clark was doing.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of that like secondary line of players aside from the top 2 kind of helped, keep the interest a little bit.
Cameron Brink.
It
was a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, there's the hype of Caitlin Clark, and then it's like, oh, there's also like a few other people that you probably wouldn't know if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark bringing in all of that hype. And I think you see it on ESPN all the time. It's like Caitlin Clark's doing this, and then that brings a little that shine kind of like is kind of off Caitlin. Like the shine is so big that there's enough that you can get more people in, and then they're good enough that like. They're okay. There's like it's not just Caitlin Clark. There's a few other people that kind of keep like snowballs that interest a little bit more.
Yeah.
As opposed to just the 2 players, which I think Caitlin Clark would be enough to kind of get people super interested.
But that's the thing, though. Next year too.
That's the
right.
problem.
People want her autos still.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like people are still gonna want Cameron Brink autos. Yep. She didn't show fully what she had.
Nope.
Right. So that we have them going into there, plus with the new class coming in.
Yeah.
Going back to the question with like the box pricing and things like that, I think $1,200 is going to be a new norm for the WNBA for the next 2 years. Because I think can Juju leave as a junior?
I don't know if women's is 4 years or not, but I know like pretty much all of them play 4 years at least.
Yeah.
So they might be 4 years for WNBA.
So that'd have been interesting, right? In the third one. But I mean, for right now, I think next year we're going to be looking at probably, if not even with it. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think NBA is going to jump back up on them again because again, Caitlin is going to still be that face of it. So I think she's still going to drive sales. I mean, we know a couple of guys around here that are going to probably buy the majority of the collection anyways of it. So
I don't know. I think she's going to follow everybody else before her that thought wouldn't follow the trend of, you get this hype and then get to a certain height and then your second year comes and it kind of goes down a little bit in the off season and the roller coaster never goes back up to the peak.
I don't know, man.
Look at Wemby. Like Wemby is just as transformational for the game of like internationally and all that to an extent. I mean, NBA is an established product already. I was
going to say, Caitlin kind of brought WNBA.
Yeah, for sure.
Up.
But I don't think she's not like 3-4 years down the road. She's not going to be in Prism to where it's like she's still carrying her box. Like there's going to be other women that do it as well, but there's also going to be other guys in the NBA that come in that are going to be just as generational.
So I don't know. So this might be crazy, but I mean, like the Topps has like LeBron autos in there.
Yeah.
I look at Caitlin Clark as that pioneer. Like she's, I mean, not just pioneer in WNBA. That sounds stupid because there's so many great women who are out there who are playing. But like she kind of made it exciting again to watch, and people got excited about that. I just think like all of her cards for a very long time are going to be valuable, and people are going to continue to chase them. I mean that's what I think at least.
I think it's all dependent on how popular WNBA gets. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think if she goes to the playoffs to make a run, because towards the end of the season she was playing really, really well with them, and they're getting some of her like crazy passes that she was able to do to them. if the Fever make a run, I'm interested to see what happens with it.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely go up, but she unfortunately is going to be tied to the WNBA success the rest of her career because that's the podium that she's been put on with it. It's kind of like how she goes is how the WNBA is going to go, so I think that's going to determine how she's able to carry like hobby prices and stuff like that as well.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say that I think if she wins a chip in the next 2 years, I think that brings her longevity at least in the mainstream. Because I know ESPN will be all over that, and I think a lot of people like they're not even WNBA fans, but they'll keep up with what Caitlin Clark's doing. So if she wins a chip, like people are still gonna be all over it in a few years.
I definitely agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thank you guys for joining us. Wandering the Hobby with Rynos. We do appreciate it. Make sure to check us out on YouTube. Follow us on Loop. We will be live Thursday through Saturday, as well as we're going to be seeing you guys at the Front Row Card Show in Portland. That'll be in March, April in Tacoma, and then May in San Diego. We will see you guys there.
You're listening to Wanderin' the Hobby with Ryno. Brought to you by Ryno Sports Cards and Memorabilia in Bellingham, Washington. For more, follow us on Instagram at Ryno Sports Cards or RynoSportsCards.com.